wide web. Welcome back to the Hangin with Web show right here on HWWS WebTV. Take 1 second, please hit subscribe. We have interviews with authors, artists, filmmakers, musicians, creative minds of all kinds. So hit subscribe and get notified whenever we have a new interview up. There's a lot of other content here on the channel too, so check that out. In the meantime, we are here talking to authors this weekend, and we're hanging out with Sabrina Clayton, the author of My Cartoon Imagination at the Hospital. I'm just counting the words. See, she's got a word count in her title. That doesn't count, but okay. My Cartoon Imagination at the Hospital. Okay. Yes. Now, you're a children's book author.
Yes.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, welcome to the show. We're social distancing-ish. You can see these chairs are this is so weird for me. The set normally is not as long. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right. Let's talk about My Cartoon Imagination at the Hospital. So I can do that after I read it about 500 times.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that. Where did the idea come from? Give us the book blurb. Let's tell them all about you.
Well, sure.
All right.
Thank you. Happy to be here. I am a registered nurse and I work in an emergency department. And as the kids were coming in for treatment, they would have certain questions and wanted to know what that instrument did, what did that do, and what are you going to do, and where are you coming at me with that? You know, so I wanted to kind of do a book that kind of eased their fears and kind of explain to them along the way what to expect when you come into an emergency department.
Oh, wow.
It actually starts with the character Samara. My first book was My Cartoon Imagination at school.
At school, okay.
And so,
because that's just as scary.
Exactly. And it started with Samara having to give a book report in class. She was nervous about it, went to talk to her mom about it, and her mom actually was the one that gave her that mind trick to just think of everybody as cartoon animals. So that's where the idea came in.
All right, that's cool.
Yeah.
Much better than what they told us. Really, that's better.
Yeah, so as this story unfolds, she's encountering people along her journey on the school bus, and she comes to the classroom, her teacher, and she just imagines them as cartoon animals. And it also reads as poetry. And at the end of both of my books, they have a positive message to the children.
Oh, that's fantastic.
For inspiration.
I love the idea of taking these places or these events that are kind of a little more intimidating.
Yes.
And injecting imagination into the process.
Absolutely.
I can imagine that, now that I'm thinking about it, the hospital, what a place of wonder for a child.
Absolutely.
There's so much there.
Yes.
Walking through the hospital for the first time as a child must be like walking into a starship.
Absolutely.
Because there's so much, the technology is so different from anything you're ever going to see anywhere else.
Absolutely.
The instruments are today, especially today, and the more advanced medicine gets, every tool is specialized.
Absolutely.
From a surgical tool to a dental tool to the daily operations,
Yeah.
What an amazing place to spend your imagination, as it were.
Absolutely.
And so what give us the book blurb now as they go to the hospital.
Yes. So this one, she's in school. This one, she goes out to play, and she gets hurt on the playground.
Oops.
So with her getting
Listen
hurt.
to mom and dad.
Yeah,
we keep telling
exactly.
you.
And it kind of gives the kids a journey from injury until the ambulance gets there and until going through the hospital.
Oh, so you get an ambulance ride in there.
Oh, yes. I wanted to give them the
'cause
whole experience.
I'm an adult, and that's terrifying.
Exactly. So when the ambulance arrives, you see they're normal people. So then her mother reminds her about this mind trick that she taught her. She goes, remember to use your imagination. So she does, and they turn into little panda bears. So it just kind of quells the fear.
That makes way more sense than you think it does. I know. I'm just saying.
Exactly.
Fuzzy, cuddly, yeah, that's much better. Yeah.
What is cuter than a panda bear, okay?
Yeah. Besides, have you seen some
harmless.
EMTs? Have you seen some EMTs? Panda bear, much better.
I see them all the time
See
coming
what I'm
into
saying?
the ER.
Much better. I mean, there's a certain skill set that you need as an EMT, and the medical training is one part of it and all of that, but also there's strength training, and some of these guys they'd be scary looking if you just ran into them.
Oh, but they're awesome.
They are the biggest teddy bears in the world.
Oh,
Perfect,
yes.
the panda bears.
Yes,
because they are the biggest teddy bears in the world, and they're so gentle and so well trained and skilled. But if you just happen to be 3 stools down at the bar, you're like, oh no.
You don't want to be in a
Yeah,
empty
you're like,
room
what?
with that guy.
What? Not him. And then he shows up and he's got a needle. That's even worse.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's awesome though. That's fantastic. So the ambulance ride, we're going to
Yes.
make that a little bit more comfortable.
Right,
Okay. They're going to get to
absolutely.
the hospital though.
They get to the hospital. And
Another scary
so-
place. There's
Exactly.
Dozens and dozens of people.
Especially rolling through an ER, and I've worked in several busy ERs from trauma to regular, but when you roll in there, people are sick, they're scared, they're screaming, and she's experiencing that, the humans first, and then all of a sudden they turn into these friendly animals. So I just kind of...
Which, by the way, just going to say, ER, zoo. ER,
Exactly.
zoo. Very similar,
He gets it.
without the cages. Yeah, the critters that she deals with don't have cages around them. They're just free roaming. It's free range
Sometimes we
crazy.
wish they did, but you didn't hear that from me.
No, I
Oops.
didn't. Nope. Oops. Don't worry. It's only 2 or 3 million people out there. I don't know.
Exactly. No, I love my patients. But I just wanted to write a book that kind of give them a little positivity and to just kind of help quell their fears and help them realize that, you know, it's not so bad when they go to the hospital or to the doctor's office. I mean, and it just calms their spirit so they can get the medical attention that they so greatly need.
Well, and you know, it's interesting. I think hospitals, schoolyards, places that are very unique in off-putting when you're on your first time, especially. Maybe you get used to school.
Yes.
It's a great big box where they keep all your friends after a while, but those first days in kindergarten and first grade and those days are really tough. The hospital. These are also, for a lot of our young people, these are the first places where they're exposed to a diverse environment.
Yes.
Because in your home, it's just you and your mom and your dad, and everybody's you at home.
Yes.
And no matter where your home is, whether you come from, whatever background you're from, your home is very you. And then all of a sudden you go to school. There's a lot of not you. And then you go to the hospital, and there's a lot of not you.
Not you, absolutely.
And so it's your first environment. So the idea of being able to use your imagination to make that comfortable.
Yes.
And to see even greater diversity there.
And to respect that.
And to have
the
it not scare
differences.
you anymore.
Yes.
Because I think that is the root of so much as we grow older. I think the root of, I always tell people, I think the root of hate and these things is there's no natural mechanism for it. It is born of something else. And I think it was born of fear. It's born of something different.
Absolutely.
And when we see that.
Sometimes your environment.
And it's great to be able to turn your imagination on and go into the hospital where you see all of these different people and with all of these different problems.
Right.
And it's a zebra, and it's a monkey, and it's a parrot, and it's a koala bear.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden now it's not scary.
He gets it.
I think that's awesome.
That's
I think
the whole
that is
thing.
awesome. And that's, you know what, that is what a writer does, ladies and gentlemen. And
Yes.
for children, it's really hard to do
Right.
because you have to distill these profound truths
Absolutely.
into the simplest possible form.
And that's what was important to me. And when I spoke with the illustrators, I'm like, you have to make sure both books have a diverse group of children. All races, all everything.
If you were using your imagination and your peer group or the group that you're walking into the hospital was all the same, number one, there'd be no reason to imagine anything because it would be very natural. And number two, it'd be 100 zebras. Oh, that's no fun.
Exactly.
That's no fun. We need a lot of different things. So I think that's amazing, and you did a wonderful job with that, just in the illustrations alone. I can't wait to take a look at that. I don't know if Cosplay Michael's around here. He's Spider-Manning. But if Cosplay Michael's out there, I can't wait for him to take a look at these. That's
Awesome.
fantastic. There are two different questions here. First, what are readers saying? What are the kids saying when they read these stories?
Well, they love it. And I'm getting great feedback from the teachers because with the second book, I've incorporated vocabulary lists, a Q&A answer at the end, explaining what's the thermometer, what's the blood pressure cuff, what's the
I just
normal
want you to know in
range,
advance. I want everybody on
So-
YouTube to know in advance. I think I would fail that test. But here's what we're going to do. We have a little bit of time. Okay, come on.
Yes.
Oh, man, this is going to suck. I'm going to give this a shot here, okay? And fortunately, I have a nurse on set, so I'm going to be okay. All right.
Yes.
Her right leg. Okay, I got that one.
That's the answer, yeah.
Oh, these are the
answers.
Damn.
The questions
See,
are over there.
the questions are back. Oh,
Right.
here we go.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, no, I don't know these because I haven't read the story yet. So these are story questions too. But I'm going to go to the vocabulary here because this This is fun, by the way. This is
Yeah, the teachers love that.
vocabulary list. Oh, wow. And it does. It goes right down through all of the things from the basics. Just what a bandage is.
Yes.
Nice. Cast.
Yes.
You know, so sadly, all your parents are going to have to deal with that one.
Yeah,
Sooner or
unfortunately,
later, yeah.
she breaks her leg. So.
Crutches, yes. Diagnosis. That's a good word.
Yeah, it's an
for a
important
young-
word.
Yeah, for a young person too.
Yes.
Because you're going to hear it a lot.
Absolutely.
You're going to hear it a lot, but you're going to every time the doctor says it, you're going to go, "Oh my Lord." He just used some kind of fancy Latin on
Oh,
me.
they asked too. What's a diagnosis?
Nice. Doctor, okay.
Yeah.
Good one to know. Okay, just right down. So everything that they're going to see through all the whole book here, nurse, monkey bars. All right, that one they had to teach her because they know that one already. Pulse oximeter.
Yes.
I
That's the little pulse ox you put on the
that
finger.
the finger one?
Yes.
Okay, I did not know that. No,
Yeah.
Believe me, I didn't guess that. Oxygen saturation. I got
Yes.
that one. I know that one only because my mom recently had pneumonia.
Oh.
And,
She okay?
and yeah, she's fine. She's
Okay,
wonderful now. But when she had that, she was explaining to me all the numbers, and of course,
Yeah.
it's like listening to techno babble on the phone. And she's saying, I was 93 and I was 94 now, but I was down to they said I was down to 17, and I'm like, I don't know what any of those numbers mean. And so
Yeah,
then she had
the normal
explained to
range.
me what they were, and I was like, oh.
And that gives the normal range for
That is
children, should I say.
96 to
And I think-
98, yeah.
yeah.
So obviously the 17 and 18 was a bad day for her.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that
Oh,
was.
my.
She was. Oh, they found her asleep.
That was her oxygen saturation?
They found her asleep. They said if my nephew found her, and my nephew found her because he had been calling and she wasn't answering.
Oh, my
She was sitting watching TV. And she was upright. She had felt bad. She knew she had some kind of a cold, but she didn't know that it was in her lungs. So she'd fallen asleep watching TV upright, and she was just filling up. And when my nephew kept calling, and when he didn't get through, he went over to say, "Hey, Grandma, what's going on?" And when he walked in, she was asleep in the chair, and he could
Lord.
physically hear her struggling from the doorway. And so he went in, and she had very low pulse rate or whatever.
So that wasn't normal
But
breathing.
he
no.
911'd immediately.
Oh, wow.
And when they got there, they were like, obviously no one can tell you the future or what would have been.
Right, right.
But the EMT he said, literally moments. In his opinion, he said it was literally moments. Her oxygen level was so low, she wasn't getting any oxygen to her brain. The reason that she didn't hear the phone was because she literally couldn't wake up. She had slipped into unconscious from being asleep to being almost comatose because she was getting no oxygen.
Sure.
And her breath, every breath was
Struggling.
labored and struggling.
Yeah.
She's a little bitty person, so that was not normal. And he said moments away. If somebody had not come to check on her, because she's an older woman, and
Sure.
if nobody had checked on her, then it would have been just moments. She makes a habit of this. This is my mom, by the way. YouTube, you guys, we're just talking now. I'll cut this later. It's my mom. She makes a habit of this. She literally, she has a bad heart to start with. And periodically, it just decides not to work.
Her heart?
Yes. So she's on all kinds of meds for it now. She was sitting at the table one day and she stood up too fast and got wobbly, but then she lost consciousness, and by the time she hit the ground, she had lost her pulse and everything. My sister was there, and instantaneously, she did this twice in a 6-month period, and both times my sister was there, and my sister said, "You know what? I'm really tired of this. One of these days, bringing you back from the dead is very stressful."
Oh my God.
And I thought,
I can't even imagine
and
that.
I couldn't even. I was like, I call my sister all the time and tell her, "You're amazing to me," because I couldn't. That's my mom, and I'm
Of
like,
course.
I panic at that moment, and
Sure.
and in the time it takes me to settle my nerves, well, that's too much time when they're not breathing anymore. It turns
Well,
out.
absolutely.
Yeah, and,
Every second counts.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow, and but yeah, it's like that, and so. We're gonna pick it up again. I'm in here. Okay. So, pulse oximeter, I got that. Oxygen saturation, I got that. Temperature, okay, got that. All right, now she's getting fancy. Tibia. I know what this one is. However, just saying, the average child, that's gonna expand their vocabulary a little
Yes.
bit. Yeah.
That's the
All right, wait,
long
wobbled.
in the leg.
Literally wobbling. She's just wobbling. Okay. She had me scared because if that's a medical term, that would scare me. Because if I hear somebody say something wobbly.
Well, these are terms from the story,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
they
yeah,
may
yeah.
have questions about what
Yeah.
does that mean.
If the doc refers to something in the doctor's office as wobbly, I've got problems. So this is awesome, though. Thank you so much. My cartoon imagination at the hospital, which it looks like is a follow-up to my cartoon imagination at school.
Yes.
Guys, we've been hanging out with Sabrina Clayton, the author of these fantastic children's stories. Thank you so much for sharing your stories with us. Guys, we're going to drop links down below so you can find Sabrina's work online. Check her out, please. These look like fantastic. This is awesome. The illustrations are amazing. Amazing stories with great messages. So check them out online, guys. We're going to put links down below. Thank you to our partners and our friends at Famous Faces and Funnies, Josh Bauer Art, for all the art that's on our set this weekend. Thank you to Brevard Film and Talent. Thank you to NSC Live TV, Hearts Helping Others of Central Florida. That's families helping families right here in Central Florida, especially in these hard times that we've been going through. And thank you so much to Space Coast Comics for all of your support. Guys, thank you for being here, for watching, for buying a book. Yep, I did. I thanked you. Now you have to buy a book. See what I did there? All right. Remember, guys, stay tuned in and stay logged on and see who we're hanging with next.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was awesome.